Texas Business Buyers, where we talk about your life and your business and getting the most out of both. Here's your host, Clint Fiore.
Hello and welcome to Business Builder Radio. I'm your host, Clint Fiore, where we talk about your life and your business and getting the most out of both. Thank you so much for joining me today. We're going to have a great show today. We're going to go back into teaching mode. We're going to talk about technology, and we're going to talk about using technology to save yourself time and make you more money and make your business grow. That is the theme of today's show. I am also pleased to announce we will have a special guest coming on after the first break, Brian McFadden with Red Bison Design, right here in Kerrville, Texas. So I just want to dive right in. 2 weeks ago, we had a show about sales. And in that sales show, we talked through the 4 steps of making a sale. We talked about building rapport, which is making people know you, like you, trust you, mainly by listening and letting them talk about themselves. And then we talked about presenting the problem and getting agreement that there is a problem that needs to be solved. And we talked about offering a solution, building value to that solution. That's the 3rd step, is showing that you have the right solution for their problem. And the 4th step is closing the deal, where you go ahead and get to the finish line and get the transaction completed. And at the end of the day, it's more than just getting a sale. It's about making a friend, making a fan, having an ongoing relationship. Because in most businesses, you're never done, right? I mean, you want people to recommend you to other people. You want to have a great reputation in your community. And the sales process is really just the beginning of a long relationship if you're doing it right. So I'd like to go into, with the 4 steps of sales in mind, I'd like to go into today's topic, which is technology and about time and time management. And, if you're wasting all of your time doing things that aren't those 4 steps, then you're not going to be able to make as many deals happen. It's just a fact of life. You're not going to be able to see as many clients, create as many fans, create as many transactions. And I just recently came across some data on how much time is wasted in the current American first world white-collar workforce, and it is astounding. Less than 60% of the time that we spend at our computers in our office is actually doing productive work. Less than 60%. You hear that? So you've got more than 40% of your time that is currently being wasted. Imagine how much better you could do if you could be 40% more productive. Well, we're going to get into some key tips and tricks today and how to get the most out of your time. And I want to harp on 2 of my my pet peeves here. One is people that waste time on email, and 2 is people that waste time on social media. And these are 2 awesome tools that we have at our disposal in today's business world. They can really help you be more productive, but as most of us know, you spend more time being unproductive with email and social media than you do being productive. I think most of us, if we're honest with ourselves, will realize that. And let me do some statistics here for you. On average, a business person gets 304 business emails weekly. The average employee checks their email 36 times per hour. They spend 16 minutes refocusing after they've handled an incoming email. So think about that. When you write that email, send it out, you've had to use all your brain power to come up with that message and craft it and send it. And then you got to figure out, what was I doing? What am I supposed to be doing now? And there's some reset time that happens there. This is a funny one. You lose 10 IQ points if you're constantly checking your email and fielding a flood of emails coming at you, which a lot of us get in that situation. It's as if it's the same result as if you had not slept for a whole night. So, are you performing at your best when you don't sleep the night before? I don't think any of us can say yes. But we're doing that to ourselves every day sometimes if we're constantly looking at our phone, constantly looking at our emails coming in. there was a company that's a technology-related research think tank. They actually put numbers to this. How much money, if you look at the employees of your business, how much per employee cost is it on average for this stuff? Just email, okay? Let's not even talk about social media yet. Let's just talk about email. You waste $1,250 per year paying your employees to filter out spam and delete spam out of their email boxes. $1,250 per year on spam. You spend $1,800 per employee per year on them handling unnecessary emails that don't even need to be there in the first place. You also are paying between $2,200 and $4,100 per year in duplicate communications for poorly written emails. So emails are just this enormous time waster that is ravaging the productivity of your business. Social media is largely the same. Sometimes it kind of depends on what generation it is, but the millennials coming up, they're spending, sometimes it's 20 to 50% of their day is on social media websites. And it's easy to rationalize it, especially us as business owners. It's easy to rationalize it because you do get deals from social media, don't you? You do. If you're smart, you can do good things to promote your business and to connect with people, and it's a very powerful tool for that. But you can also end up watching a lot of cat videos, can't you? you can do things that aren't making you money and aren't being productive. And so I want you listeners out there to be productive people, and I want you to be well-rounded people. I want you to, when you leave work, I want you to be able to leave work, go home, kiss your kids, hang out with your family, not be this technology crackhead looking at your phone all the time. And in order to do that, let's get the most out of our time at work. And so today we're just going to go into different strategies about getting your time back. And I hope that after you listen today, you will say, wow, I'm really glad I tuned in because I am going to free up so much of my time. So, time is one of those things that I believe it's our most valuable resource. You can have all the money in the world, but you can't buy time. You can't get time back. When your time's up, it's up. And so we just need to be really good stewards of it. Technology can waste your time or it can give you time. Now, I've had this talk with people about money. Money is by itself neutral. And I believe that money is amoral. It doesn't care. It doesn't think. All it does is listen to you and do what you tell it to do. And those of you that know me, you know I'm a Christian believer. There's a scripture that gets quoted a lot, Matthew 6:24, that says, no one can serve two masters. You love one, hate the other. You can't serve both God and money. That's me paraphrasing. And a lot of people use that as an indictment on money. But what the Lord revealed to me about that scripture is it's more about, if you want to get money right, you can't serve it. You have to make it serve you. And if you have money obeying you, no matter if that's a little or a lot, you'll handle money properly and it will serve the things that God tells you to do in your life. And technology is the same thing. It's amoral. It doesn't have an opinion, but you can waste your life trying to do what it says, or you can make it work for you. So we're going to go into more tips and tricks as soon as we get back, and we're also going to talk to Brian McFadden, Red Bison Designs. Thanks for listening to Business Builder Radio.
Thinking of starting a new business? Why not buy one instead? 80% of new business startups fail within 5 years. But if you buy an established business, you turn the odds of success in your favor. TexasBusinessBuyers.com is the place to go to find profitable, Texas-based small businesses for sale. Whether you're looking to buy a business, sell a business, or just want to know what your business is really worth today, talk to the experts at Texas Business Buyers. Visit TexasBusinessBuyers.com or call 210-774-6800. That's 210-774-6800. All
right, welcome back to Business Builder Radio. I'm your host, Clint. We're talking about your life, your business, getting the most out of both. Now, when I left off, we were talking about how technology can make you can be mastered by it, or you can master it. It's one way or the other. you have to choose to take control of your digital life and use technology to serve your goals and your interests. Now, we talked about email and social media a little bit. At the end of the show, after the last break, we're just going to rattle off a bunch of tips and tricks on how to save yourself time and tools and resources you can use to take back your time and your life online. But I had someone just join me in the studio that I want to introduce real quick, and he's going to add a lot to this discussion. There's a man here named Brian McFadden. He's one of my dear friends. He's a mentor to me. He's the one that built my website, TexasBusinessBuyers.com. Go check it out. The co-founder, Red Bison Design, Brian McFadden. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Clint. It's good to be here. I really appreciate the fact that you invited me in, and just the way you led off with the pet peeves. I'm 100% right there with you about the email, especially, and the use of the social media. So, but it's good to be here.
Thank you. And it's just further introducing Brian. It's easy to say somebody's a website builder, a website designer. A lot of people say that they're those things. Brian is a partner in a company that does website building and design, but he's also a former Fortune 500 executive, and he's run large organizations. He knows how to look at your business from a 50,000-foot view and understand what your business strategic objectives are. He can think strategically, and what I like about him is he will help your website and your digital presence and your social media presence match what your strategic objectives are. And so there's a lot more to what Brian does than just website building. So with that intro, Brian, I hope I haven't set you up too big here, but I just want you to tell everybody, what is Red Bison Designs, what does your company do, and how can you help our listeners?
Well, I'm glad to do that. And you did set a pretty high bar there about the kind of things that we do. It is primarily about design for us as we get people started with their websites. But as you talked about, there's a few things that any business has to really focus on. It's not just having the website's presence, but it's also what are the functions of the website going to be? Who are the clients? Who are the visitors? Who are the buyers? Answering all those questions starts to bring a complexity into the equation as to what is the best solution and how do you go about that. And so we rely a lot on going out into the specific business that somebody may have, doing the research, looking at the type of clients they have, what are the demographics of the kind of clients, so that we can start to put together a complete solution, not just something that looks just fabulous to the eye, but also has the right function. It directs the eye, it directs the mind to the right things, and puts them into a state of mind that would say, yeah, I need to buy something, and I want to buy it now. That's kind of the goal of what we try to do.
Okay, great. So, I always like to go back to how did you get started type of questions, and how did you get into this. I know you're not a coder. You're not this typical young person I would think of when I think of a website builder. What got you into this industry to begin with, and why did you decide to start this company?
Well, it's interesting when people they say, "Gee, you're north of 60 years old. What do you know about technology?" And what I go back to is, it was my generation that built the technology. It was this generation that I'm part of that moved us from print into television, from television into internet into all kinds of things, whether it's the social media that we all love and hate at the same time. But I've seen it all from when we used to communicate in a very simple way to where now we're just bombarded because of technology. And so what kind of drove me in this was wanting to just kind of put a stake in the ground and say, you know what, I support technology. I see the value of the technology. I've watched it grow businesses tremendously. And it's just there's so few people that really try to get the small business entrepreneurial people to embrace the technology, and that's what I wanted to do, is get them to understand there are ways that they can just use the technology, expand their business.
Yeah. All right, listeners, listen up. If you're in business today, you need to be a technology company. And I don't care if you're a roofer or if you're a medical provider, you have to be up to speed on technology, and you have to get help from people if you need help. You know, it wasn't that long ago when you thought of technology of, okay, I just need a website. I need to have a good-looking website, so if people Google me, they'll find a nice-looking website. But we've had not just the internet revolution, but now there's been this mobile revolution. There's been a social media revolution. There's been internet video revolution that's going on. And when I think of my company, I'm thinking, man, today you have to have a multi-pronged strategy. You better be in video. You better be in social media. You better be mobile friendly if you're going to play on today's competitive landscape in business. So talk me through this process, Brian. When you are working with a client, how do you get buy-in from a business owner that has that mindset of, yeah, how much do you charge for a website? You know, when so much is changing in the world today. Can you just kind of walk through your process a little bit there?
Yeah, that's a tough question because it is different for every client that we have. But I think some of the basics remain. One of the things that and it is at some point we have to talk about what does your internet presence mean, and how can we exploit it so that it really pays off, that the investment you make in the website and the functionality and just the digital presence you have, how do you make that work best for you? And so many times we're dealing with really smart people that just don't have this as a knowledge or an understanding that technology is something they haven't ever had to really work with other than they use it themselves. And so that's where I bring the discussion is, how do you approach the internet? How do you do things on the internet? Do you use your mobile device? What are the kinds of things you do on the internet? And now translate that back into the people that are going to come to your site. What do you think they need to see, and what do you want them to see? So that's how we get the discussion started.
Yeah, that's great. Talk to us about maybe some of the latest trends in internet advertising. One of the things I like about you is you have some background in content marketing and internet advertising that you bring to the table as well. And I often get business owners asking me questions about this. If you can share any insights, what about the mindset that I hear a lot of, okay, I need to get some Google ads, or I need to get some Facebook ads, or it seems like most business owners, they just have preconceived in their head one strategy for buying attention online. Do you have any latest and greatest trend reports on that, or something they can do that's free or cheap, or that's a great thing that most business owners haven't thought of?
Yeah, you know, that again, that's a difficult question because there's so many of the, especially with some of these startup firms, or even firms that just want to get information about who they are out on the internet. They may not need any advertising at all. For example, somebody drives into town, they're looking for a restaurant. There's not too much that you could do to, let's say, advertise that, other than to make sure that you're in the major listings of those places that would rank a restaurant or something like that. And we'll talk about that with clients. But many of them know those, and the biggest thing is people just want information. They want to know who's open, what time, what day, and those kind of things. So that's the easiest to look at. But then when it comes to actual advertising, if you're trying to sell a particular product, whether it's in a niche or not in a niche, you have to look at all of the available types of advertising. You can advertise through Google, yeah. It can get very expensive if you don't do it right. But if you find the right people that know how to do the research, how to come up with the types of audiences that should be directed to your site, you can save a lot of money. And so really my advice is find the experts to do that. Just incredibly important.
Yeah, I see a lot of business owners, and as most of you know, I sell businesses for a living, okay? And the typical situation I look at when I'm looking at a business to sell is it'll typically be a baby boomer owner that has successfully built up a reputation in a successful business, and now they're ready to sell it to someone to take it to the next level. It's a new generation buyer, and I help bring those next generation buyers to the table. And one of the things that today's buyers find really important is their digital presence. They want to know, Are you active on social media? How are you driving people to the website? Is your website converting? And a lot of these owners that are baby boomers, they don't, their website is essentially a glorified brochure. And I ran across a situation just the other day, a business I'm trying to sell in a small town around here. It's a tire and service center, and it is a fantastic company. If you want to buy a tire and service center around the Hill Country, call me. It has amazing cash flow. It's priced right. But this owner, he spends his advertising dollars on Yellow Page ads, and then he buys space in the Houston newspaper because he knows a lot of people are coming here from Houston, and but his mindset is still in Yellow Pages and advertising. And because in these small towns like Kerrville and Fredericksburg, you can pick up radio stations and newspapers and from all over the place, it gets really hard to, like, if you're a small business in Fredericksburg, Texas, where do you advertise? Because people can listen to radio stations from Austin or San Antonio, or they can read newspapers from all those places, and you can't afford to get on the air in those big cities, and you just want to hit the Fredericksburg people. You just want to hit the Kerrville people. And I just keep telling them, you got to get online. You have to use social media right. You have to drill down and find your target online. And if you don't know how to do that, there are experts like Brian, like the team at Red Bison, that can help you get a strategy together. So I guess that wasn't really a question. I just kind of ran it there, Brian. But could you tell me just a little bit more about your team? Is this just you, or what does it look like? Like when you want to bring a project together, do you have other people and specialists that work with you? What does that look like?
Yeah, we're pretty broad based, and what we have to provide and what we know is necessary for most of the websites that we put together is that we have to bring in some experience with content, and we have to help them with their content that's on their site. And we've got to fashion it so that not only are their articles or their content or their sales copy to be easy to read and understandable, but that it actually will stand up to the search engines, that they'll help drive traffic to the website, that any of the information that's in there has a good call to action. So many people, they know their product, they know that they're trying to sell that product, but they just don't understand necessarily the words that they have to put together to just make it pop on the internet, to make them be found because of that content. And we help with that. We will pull that together. We also have graphic design assistants. If people are wanting a full branding of a new product, of a new company, or even a rebranding of an older company, we can bring together the resources around graphic design as well to do that. We've got some really experienced people there. And of course, just in general, internet marketing. Just having some resources around internet marketing is just tremendously helpful for us as we help our clients.
Can you give me some examples of projects that you've worked on? I think that would really help our listeners if you could just kind of tell a story or two, people that you've helped, and what have you done there?
Well, I think your project's one with Texas business buyers. For us, that was a great project to do because we'd never tackled a project like yours where we really had to go out and understand the industry itself to understand not just what you did, but what people perceived business buying and selling brokerage to do, and then try and piece together the site so that it would meet the expectations of the visitors, but also as you being a client. And so I think the research, extremely important, very detailed. Not a lot out there, and I think you know that within the broker business, there's not a lot of extensive use of technology in that business, which you're changing, and I really give you some kudos for that, because what you're trying to do is changing the face of that business. But that's been one of the really good projects, rewarding projects. Real quick, another one. River Hill Country Club is one that we've started that we're really digging into that and appreciating what is getting done there. But that involves us helping them with their inside marketing as well to help get member engagement, get the membership active, using the club more, but also attracting people from all over. This is a destination for a lot of people in the state of Texas. The Hill Country is something that people come to. Having an iconic website like the River Hill Country Club is one that really, I think, drives us to advertise outside the area, figure out how can we attract people to this area to enjoy that club, and as well as the amenities that they do have at the club, like the wedding site.
That's great. That's great. Talk to me just about if you could throw in one tip here, free or cheap. What's something that a small business owner can do that's just I would say low-hanging fruit? Let's say somebody's listening in, they're just getting started, they know their website and social media and everything else is just really, really lacking. And I just have a few hours this weekend I'm going to put into something with $0 budget. Do you have just kind of one or two tips you might give to that person to just spruce up what they can do?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest surprises to me personally is that the mobile technology has just taken over the internet, and we see so many websites out there that are not what we call responsive. They're not mobile friendly. And if there's any one tip that I could give to any businesses here in Kerrville or anywhere, is their site has got to be responsive to these mobile devices. More traffic is generated on the internet from mobile devices than any other device. So the tipping point came late in 2014. Websites that were built even in early 2014 are not responsive, very many of them. And so that's one of the big tips. And the other is Facebook. You have got to embrace Facebook or other social media, not to go out and play around with, but to actually try to attract people to your site using the social media techniques. And that's something we found very effective, and it's very cost effective.
All right, I have had good success on Facebook from a business standpoint. I'm going to go off on Facebook when we get back from the break. There are some great tips and tricks that I'm going to share with you on that. We're going to keep Brian with us to add to the conversation. I just want to thank you so much again for listening to Business Builder Radio here on KERV.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. Donald Trump is blaming a bad earpiece, telling NBC's Today Show that he could not hear the question when he claimed on CNN over the weekend that he didn't know anything about former Klan leader David Duke. Trump says he disavowed Duke all weekend long on Facebook and on Twitter as well. Top U.S. defense officials providing new details about how the Pentagon is using its new aggressive cyber campaign as part of the military operations against ISIS in Iraq and Syria. A sheriff in southwestern Ohio says a 14-year-old student pulled out a gun in a school cafeteria, opening fire today, hitting and wounding two other students. On Wall Street, stocks, which had been positive earlier today, turned negative later on. The S&P currently off 10 points. More details at srnnews.com.
Well, hello, everyone. This is Dr. James Dobson. As private citizens, my wife Shirley and I urge you to rally around Ted Cruz for president. Other Republicans are certainly worthy of consideration, but at this point, it looks like a vote for anyone other than Ted Cruz is a vote for Donald Trump. For people of faith who care about religious liberty, life, and marriage, it's time for us to rally around Ted Cruz. Senator Cruz has the intelligence, the courage, the grasp of domestic and world affairs, and the solid foundation of faith and family to stand firmly in support of our conservative values. That's my take on it. This is James Dobson.
Paid for by Keep the Promise One and not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. KeepThePromise1.com. Keep the Promise One is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Good afternoon, everyone. Dr. Doppler with your First Alert forecast. I'm bumping temperatures up a little bit this afternoon as south-southeasterly winds make a return at around 5 to 15 miles per hour. Not too bad. Daytime high close to 65 degrees. Tonight, low-level moisture from the Gulf on the increase. Patchy fog and low clouds by daybreak Saturday morning. Overnight lows will drop into the 40s, not quite as cool. I'm meteorologist Carrie Burgess, and I hope you have a terrific afternoon, everybody.
Getting ready to sell your business? You've worked hard to make a name and reputation for your business, but it's time to retire. Let Texas Business Buyers find your ideal business buyer to continue your legacy and help you receive the reward you deserve for your life's work as an entrepreneur. Whether you're looking for a business to buy, sell a business, or you just want to know what your business is really worth today, talk to the experts at Texas Business Buyers. Visit TexasBusinessBuyers.com or call 210-774-6800. That's 210-774-6800.
Welcome back to Business Builder Radio. I'm your host, Clint Fiore. We're talking about your business, your life, getting the most out of both. Today's show, we're talking about technology. We're talking about using technology to make your business grow, put more money in your pocket, and to give you more time. Time is the ultimate resource. We only have so many hours. We only have so many minutes. We have to be good stewards of that time. Now, right before the break, Brian brought up social media, and when I asked him what are some free or cheap things a small business owner can do to take their business up a notch, he said you got to be on Facebook. You have to be on social media, and I 100% agree with that. And I also would say that it's not just Facebook anymore. There's a myriad of specialty sites. If you are serving females with anything that you do, and you're not on Pinterest or Instagram, shame on you. There's so many, like my wife, if you want to find her, you have better chance of finding her there than you do on Facebook. So keep in mind, who is your target audience? Choose social media wisely. Do you want to be on Snapchat, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest? These are the big players when it comes to getting your message in front of today's consumers. Pick one or two, go deep, and build relationships with people. This goes back to the fundamentals of sales, which I talked about the very first show. One of the greatest things social media allows you to do is to scale your heart, is to scale rapport. And this is something, if you just get one thing out of the show, I want you to take this home. Social media is all about, and you know this to be true, it's a very narcissistic pursuit. People are putting themselves out there on social media to show the world who they are. And it's about them. It's not about you. And if you try to make your company all about itself and not about them, then you're going to miss the boat. And I want you to build relationships on social media. I want you to share your heart on social media. And I want people to feel like when you're posting as your company on your company's Facebook page, I want you to think, if my company was a human being, what would be on their heart? What would personify your company? That's how you get, that step of rapport building in sales has to be the first step always. It doesn't matter if you have a great product if people don't like you, if they don't trust you. They don't want to buy from you people they don't like. And it's never more true than today. That will always be true until the end of time. The first step is building rapport. Social media gives you a tremendous ability to build rapport. And so the model that I learned that I've used to great success across social media platforms was originally taught by Gary Vaynerchuk. If you want a guy to follow, read books from, and hear some real wisdom dropped on you about how to utilize social media, a guy that's built multi-million-dollar businesses just by basically leveraging himself and his message and heart across social media, Gary Vaynerchuk's a great person to listen to. His model that he outlines in his book, Jab, 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 Right Hook, he basically says, you first got to give. Okay, so on social media, I want you to remember this formula. Give, 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 ask. Give, 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 ask. There should be a whole lot more giving than there should be asking. If you are not doing that, you are doing it wrong. If your social media, when I go look at your business Facebook page, and all I see is ask, 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 you are a ask hole. I hope I could say that on the radio. But that's that was the word ask, followed by the word hole. That's someone who does nothing but ask and doesn't listen to others. Again, put on your listening ears. Just like if you were across the table from someone, you should spend more time listening than you should spend talking. And on social media, you have a great tool to listen. Twitter is one of those things that I get people all the time. They're like, I don't tweet. I don't know what tweeting is, blah, blah, blah. And you know what? I don't really tweet either. And I'm not a big power user of Twitter. But if you ever want to listen, Twitter cannot be beat. I'm telling you. If you want to figure out what people are talking about and what is trending and what topics are important to other people, go on Twitter. If you have a business and you haven't been on Twitter and just searched for your company on Twitter, you are doing it wrong. You need to do that. You have to go see. There might be people talking bad about you, talking good about you. Twitter is a great space where you can form, and I would encourage all of you, form a Twitter account in your company name that's legit. You, your brand, your name, your logo, and if you ever have a complaint and you have it on Twitter, reply right back to that person and try to make it right. It's very public. Everybody's going to see it. But make your best effort. Don't fight them. Try to make it right. That will go a long way. People care about that, okay? So when it comes to Facebook and these other places, just give. What does that person that is in your audience care about? I've had a few things go, I wouldn't say viral like millions of views, but I've had some posts that I've done have tens of thousands of views. I had a post I did last week personally reach about 60,000 people. And it was just me talking into the video camera on my phone. And it went, it was shared 100 times and reached tens of thousands of people. And it wasn't because I'm good looking. It wasn't because I did a really funny video. There was no cats jumping off something and falling. There was none of that. There was just something going on that was bothering a lot of people. And I put it into words in a context of my company. And when that resonated, that was like a tuning fork to what people were already talking about and already on people's minds. And if you can hit that tuning fork into what people are already talking about, then its capacity to go viral and to be shared increases. And so you want to think, in what I'm putting out is what I'm putting out on Facebook something that someone would want to share because it represents what they care about, what their ideals are. Is this something that we have common ground on? And is this something that, if I think this funny, would my audience find this funny? If I find this enlightening, would they find this enlightening? Would they want to share this with others? And I can tell you what, that is how you get stuff to go viral. It's not, hey, come in today and get 10% off. Every now and then, maybe 1 in 10, you can do something like that. But if you don't have relationship, people aren't even going to see that post. If you're asking all the time, and this is something else Facebook does very well, is they have an algorithm that controls the newsfeed. They control what everyone sees. If you are an ask hole that is always asking, then you will get algorithmed out of the newsfeed. People won't even see your stuff because Facebook wants to put engaging stuff in front of people. And a big ask, a sales push, is not very engaging. And so to put stuff out there that's engaging. And you may think that feels like a waste of time. You may think, man, I'm just putting stuff out there and chatting with people and sharing my heart and stuff. And how is that making me money? Well, it's making you money because it's the first step of the sales process, building rapport, and it's doing it at scale. And if you don't see the power of that, get with the program here. You've got to see every sale starts with building rapport. Remember, it's the first step. And social media can help you build rapport at scale. And you got to get with the program. So I'm going to step off that soapbox, and I just want to kind of go right into the last 15 minutes of the show here, where I just want to get into some very, very practical websites, apps, phone apps, plugins, extensions, things like that can help you reclaim your life, reclaim your time, make technology work for you so that you can master it, so that you can make technology help you achieve your goals. And I'm going to open up the mic to Brian so that he can chime in. He has some really trick stuff that I don't even know about because he's living this every day. This is his business. But first off, I want to circle back around to, you know what? No, let's stay on Facebook because we were just talking about it. There is a tool that you can use. What's cool about Facebook is you can communicate at scale, but what's not cool about it is it has this power to suck you into distraction very quickly. So you'll be posting something for your business, and the next thing you know, you get sucked into the news feed, and you just start scrolling, and you start scrolling. Your eyes roll back in your head. You go in that zombie mode, and you end up just scrolling for 15 minutes mindlessly. And they set it up like that on purpose so that you will mindlessly get sucked in. And Facebook is very carefully engineered to addict you to that scrolling newsfeed, and to give you that little hit of dopamine from that. Oh, what's next? What's next? What's next? ADD, attention span thing. And they are masters of manipulation. So let me tell you how to combat that. There's several strategies. One is there is an app that you can have in your browser. If you use Chrome or any of the other browsers, I usually use Chrome. There's one called Kill My Newsfeed. If you just look up Google Kill My Newsfeed, you can actually download an extension. It's kind of like an ad blocker, except it blocks your newsfeed. So you can like message people. You can go to your page. You can do the normal things you need to do for your business on Facebook. But when you go to your newsfeed, it's going to be blank. How cool is that? So if you want to be just using Facebook for business purposes, but not get sucked into the vortex of time wasting that is the newsfeed, kill it. Kill your newsfeed. There's another app that I really like. It's called Rescue Time. Look up Rescue Time. Rescue Time simply runs in the background of your browser, and it runs in the background of your computer. And Rescue Time gives you a report every day, or whenever you want to. I usually get one weekly. But it will tell you, you can classify every website and every program you have as either being productive or non-productive. And it's going to show you these neat graphs with blue being productive, red being not productive. And you'll be able to see every day, how much time was I at my computer? And it's only logging it if you're like moving your mouse around and actively doing stuff on your computer. And that time that you're doing stuff on your computer, how much was it doing distracting things, and how much was it doing productive things? If you go install Rescue Time, you will be amazed about how unproductive you are. I don't care who you are, it will blow your mind how much time you waste doing things on your computer that just aren't making you money, that aren't giving you the life you want. So install Rescue Time, and then that's going to give you a baseline of how productive or not productive are you being. And then you can, the things that you inspect, you will respect. And so just by looking at it, just by being conscious of it, you're going to start doing better. That's been proven over and over. The things you track are the things you do better at. But so start tracking your time online. Use Rescue Time for that. And then if you upgrade to Rescue Time Premium, you can actually control, okay, I'm going to do a focus time here. And during focus time, it can actually block all distracting websites. So if you've got a lot of work to do, you need to have the internet available. You can't just turn off Wi-Fi, which is the ultimate to kill distraction. You can turn on focus time and do that. If you want a free, if you're too cheap to pay the $5 or whatever it is to do that, there's even a free one you can download called Focal Filter. Focal Filter is an app you can run that you can basically make your own list of websites you want to block. And then you can say, all right, it's focus time. I'm going to block these sites for the next hour, the next 2 hours, 4 hours, 8 hours, whatever it is. And so that if you're just like me, and sometimes you struggle with kind of doing that circular circuit through your favorite blogs and websites and time-wasting things, and you know it's going to distract you and kill your productivity, turn on your Focal Filter. Focal Filter will kill those sites for a block of time. So those are a couple of my favorites. Brian, do you have any other similar things about just kind of taking time back, apps or browser extensions, anything like that you recommend?
I have to agree with you 100% on finding these things that will help you to save time, especially because of the addictive nature of the social media. And I think the ones you pointed out really can steer people in the right direction to where they don't get distracted. But I look at the social media as just this one big, huge marketplace, and I really have focused a lot of my time in trying to understand that marketplace to exploit it as best possible for the client. And so it's almost like being excited that there are people that are going to be numb enough to the rest of the world that they're just going to mindlessly go through their news feed to be able to see something that one of our clients are pitching. So it's kind of this two-edged sword kind of situation where, yeah, we can hate the social media because it's a time suck, and there's a lot of meaningless things going on in it, and then we also can embrace it as a business and say, this is one of the biggest marketplaces out there right now that I can get to. And so I don't subscribe necessarily to the apps that would help cut out my news feed or things like that, only because I want to play the other side of the audience that is out there, that marketplace, because it's so important, especially the small businesses. So it's one of those double-edged sword kind of things, like I said. So while I agree completely with you, I wouldn't say I'm a big supporter of trying to restrict all that information that comes my way.
Yeah, I got you. So what I typically do is I generally will run focal filter in intervals. And this goes back to, I always do a book recommendation on these shows. My favorite productivity book ever is called The One Thing by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan. Gary Keller is, of course, the co-founder of Keller Williams, the largest real estate company now by agents in the world. Read The One Thing. He talks a lot about time blocking and how you waste so much time just switching back and forth between things. And just the fact that multitasking is a big fat lie. Multitasking is something that none of us can actually do. What we're doing is switching between tasks inefficiently over and over and over again. And there's just an interval that happens between when you are doing one thing and then you switch modes to another thing and then you switch back modes to that thing you were doing before. That there's those gaps in between that's time wasted. And we have to block time to focus on the one thing that's most important to us that day if we're going to have a productive day. So in that book, he talks about creating what he calls a bunker and time blocking. And there's some strategies to do that. And guys, if you have your phone is the worst enemy to creating a time block bunker where you can focus, especially if you have all your notifications on. If your phone's constantly vibrating, chirping, buzzing, making noise, and those little red badges are popping up and things are popping up on your lock screen, you are multiple times an hour getting distracted, having to reset your mind on what you were doing, and then go back into it. And I'm a bad offender of that. When you are working, turn off all of your badges. Turn off your notifications. Turn on focal filter on your desktop. Do those things so that you're not getting, if you need to take phone calls, leave your ringer on your phone, but do you need to get notified when, someone tweets at you? Do you need to get notified when or anything is an email that urgent? I submit that it's not. So block time to do your email. Do your email once a day. Do your email twice a day. If you have a more urgent flow of email, block a 2-hour span and do your email all in 2 hours. And what you can get done in 2 hours is probably equivalent of what would take you 4 hours if you were just doing it as it comes in throughout the day. If you just can go into that email mode free of distraction, knock them all out at once, you're going to get so much more done. The other part, so we talked through some Facebook strategies. Let's circle back around to email. We talked at the beginning of the show about how much of a time waste email can be. One of the apps I really like is called unroll.me. 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 Unroll me. So what Unroll Me does is you can go log in under your email address, and a lot of your time is just filtering through your emails because so much of it is junk. So much as you just live life, people add you to lists and more lists and more lists and more lists and more lists, and you end up with hundreds of subscriptions and only a handful of them you actually want. Unroll.me it figures out all of your subscriptions. It puts them all out on the table. And in just a few minutes, you can unsubscribe from all the ones you don't want to subscribe to, and the ones you do want, you can put in what's called a daily roll-up. to where you can see one email each day that's like a newsletter of all the email offers and promotions and stuff like that all in one. So you could just look through all your promotional emails in one shot, and then unsubscribe from the rest. But I find I do this about every 6 months, and there's always another 50 things I'm added to, and it's just crazy. So bookmark unroll.me and make sure you're cleaning up what's coming into your inbox. I like to use the new app from Google called Inbox instead of the normal Gmail app. Inbox will just write from the factory, bundle together certain types of emails, and it just kind of makes the view that you get of your email inbox on your phone a lot more organized. And you can also filter things and set rules on there, and you can just swipe stuff to the side with your thumb and archive it. What I like to do is just clear everything out that doesn't need action, and then I can always go back and find it. So in today's world, you don't have to delete. I mean, storage is almost unlimited in all these major email places. So don't just archive everything. You can search and find it in a half second, but make your email box clean. Just archive everything once and for all, and then you can find it. And then if stuff comes in that you don't need action on, swipe it away. If stuff comes in that does need action, and you can reply with your thumbs in 30 seconds, if you're away from your computer, go ahead and do it. Do it from your phone. Another tip I do is make your signature on your phone sent from my phone. Please forgive brevity and typos. And it just kind of is this free catch-all. And you know what? If I'm really busy, sometimes I'll change. I don't know if I should say this on the air. Sometimes I'll change that on my desktop. Where if I'm really in a hurry, this is an advanced level hack, people. Just on your desktop computer, right? Sent from my iPad as your signature sometime if you want to knock out like 1,000 emails really fast. Because nobody's expecting an essay from an iPad, right? So just send like 1-sentence responses to 100 emails and as sent from my iPad. That's some next level internet deception right there. So advanced tips. We got a couple minutes left. What else we need to talk about? Brian, you got any tips on email?
You know, not on email, but when you said what else is important, I think managing our privacy is hugely important out there, especially when it comes to, and it also hits an email, but also social media, especially. Something that Clint, you and I talked about prior, and that's the way that redirected advertising is getting, marketing and advertising is taking place, where you can go visit a site, JCPenney or whatever, and all of a sudden you're on Facebook and you're looking at something, and there's the very same page that you were just looking at JCPenney right there next to your news feed, and you're wondering, whoa, look at that, what a coincidence. And
it's not a coincidence, people.
Yeah, it is not. And it's one of those things that we have to be careful. You have control over that, and so it's probably a topic for another show. But people really need to start taking charge of their information and the privacy.
Man,
otherwise they're just going to become victims.
You're so right, and I have a lot to say about privacy. I'm actually part of a privacy-oriented social media company. We're going to have to talk about it on another show. We are in our last minute here. Real quick, Brian, how can people get a hold of you?
Well, the phone's always a good thing. You can call at 210-504-7331. And, of course, you can always contact us through our website at www.redbisondesign.com.
Excellent. You know, technology is such a vast topic. We are going to have many, many shows on this. Brian, I hope you'll come back and keep contributing like you have. I really enjoyed having you on the show. Visit Red Bison Design if you need a great website or just an overall internet marketing strategy. This is Clint, president of Texas Business Buyers on Business Builder Radio.